Telling your energetic kid to sit still might be crushing their potential. But what if their wiggles were the key to unlocking focus and learning? We're diving into groundbreaking research that reveals 8 powerful ways to turn that physical energy into a brain-building superpower. You see your child buzzing with an energy you just can't seem to contain. And you're not alone. Studies show that developmental delays and self-regulation issues are common, affecting up to 15% of preschoolers. You worry if they'll be ready for school, and maybe even ask yourself, is something wrong? But what if the problem isn't their energy, but our approach to it? What if we could use that movement to build their brain? This was the exact question a team of researchers set out to answer, and what they discovered will change how you see your child's wiggles forever. In a landmark 2024 study, researchers designed a program called Active Early Learning for 3 to 5-year-olds. They conducted a cluster randomized controlled trial across 15 different childcare centers, assigning some to this new play-based program, while others continued as usual. The program didn't just make kids run around. It involved specific, structured games that were woven into their daily routine. The goal was to see if this type of intentional play could improve critical brain skills. The results were astounding. The children in the program showed significant boosts in their expressive language and, most importantly, in their executive functions, the brain's CEO for focus, planning, and self-control. So what shifts can we apply to help our kids turn that physical energy into a brain-building superpower? Shift 1. Focus on the quality of play, not just quantity. The first major insight from the research is a game changer. The secret isn't just more physical activity, it's smarter physical activity. Many parents, with the best intentions, try to solve the wiggles by simply running their kids ragged at the park, hoping to exhaust them into stillness. But the study revealed that just increasing a child's step count doesn't automatically translate into better brain function. The real magic happens when movement is cognitively challenging and socially interactive. Mindless running isn't the same as mindful movement. The goal isn't to tire your child out, but to fire up their brain. This means shifting your focus from the quantity of movement to its quality. Instead of just letting them run, engage them in activities that have rules, goals, or problems to solve. Think of setting up a simple obstacle course in the living room with pillows to crawl over and a table to go under. Or, challenge them to walk along a crack in the sidewalk without falling off. These activities force their brain to engage on a higher level. They have to plan their movements, adapt to challenges, and stay focused on a goal. This is what the research showed builds executive function, the mental skills for focus and self-control. It's this combination of physical effort and mental engagement that turns simple play into a powerful brain-building exercise. This discovery completely reframes the purpose of play. You are no longer just managing energy. You are strategically building your child's capacity for attention and problem-solving. This aligns perfectly with the research, which found that the biggest cognitive gains came from activities that required children to think and engage, not just move. But what kind of thinking is most effective? The researchers found a very specific type of mental skill that you can build with one simple kind of game. Shift 2. Play games that require inhibition. If there's one superpower skill the research highlighted, it's inhibition. This is the brain's braking system, the crucial ability to stop an impulse, pause before acting, and resist the urge to do the first thing that pops into your head. A child who can't sit still during a story isn't being defiant. Their inhibition muscle is underdeveloped. The incredible news from the study is that this skill can be trained directly through play. The children in the intervention group showed major improvements in their ability to stay focused and control their impulses. And a key reason was their use of go, no-go style games. These are games where the primary rule is to start and stop on a specific signal. You already know them, but you might not have realized you were doing high-level brain training. The undisputed champion is red light, green light. When you shout, green light, the child runs. And when you shout, red light, they must slam on their mental brakes and freeze. That moment of stopping their forward momentum is a powerful workout for their inhibitory control. Another classic is freeze dance. Put on their favorite song and dance wildly, then abruptly stop the music. The challenge to go from high-energy chaos to complete stillness builds that same mental muscle. Perhaps the most powerful of all is Simon Says. This game adds another layer of cognitive challenge. Your child can't just follow your command. They must first listen for the magic words, Simon Says. This forces them to pause, process the instruction, and inhibit the automatic response to simply do what you said. To your child, it's just a hilarious game. But under the surface, you are systematically strengthening the neural pathways for self-regulation. The study confirmed that practicing this ability to stop an action directly leads to better focus in other areas of life. Now that you have a tool to build their focus, the next step from the researchers shows how to link that focus directly to another critical skill: language. Shift 3. Combine movement with storytime. One of the most creative and effective parts of the research was its use of cross-curricular movement, specifically linking physical activity directly to a storybook. For many energetic kids, storytime is a battle. We ask them to sit still and passively absorb information, which goes against their entire biology. But what if, instead of fighting their need to move, we invited it into the story? The study showed that when children physically act out words and concepts, it improves both their vocabulary and their cognitive flexibility, the ability to think about things in different ways. This strategy transforms reading from a passive activity into an active adventure. The next time you sit down with a book, don't just read the words, become the characters. If you're reading "We're Going on a Bear Hunt," get up and physically swish your hands through the long, wavy grass. Stomp your feet through the thick, oozy mud. Tiptoe dramatically into the cave. When a child doesn't just hear the word stomp, but actually stomps their feet, they are wiring that word into their brain on multiple levels. It connects the sound of the word, the physical feeling of the action, and the emotional joy of the story. You can do this with any book. Reading about animals? The frog jumps. Let's all jump like frogs. You are connecting the abstract sound of the word jump to the concrete, joyful experience of jumping. For a child who struggles to sit through a book, this is revolutionary. The problem was never the story, it was the sitting. By weaving movement into the narrative, you're not just making it more fun. You're using a research-backed method to make the learning stick, boosting their expressive vocabulary just as the intervention did in the study. But what about movements that aren't tied to a story? The research also points to another specific category of physical skills that are incredible for the brain. Shift 4. Practice object control skills. While any movement is good, the research suggests that certain types of motor skills are more supportive of brain development than others. Specifically, activities that involve object control, like catching, throwing, and kicking a ball, are brain-building powerhouses. Why? Because they demand a high level of concentration and split-second problem-solving. These aren't simple, repetitive aerobic exercises. They are complex tasks that require a child to inhibit a quick, sloppy response in order to achieve a specific goal. Think about what it takes for a child to catch a ball. Their brain must instantly calculate the ball's speed and trajectory, coordinate their hands and eyes, and position their entire body to be in the right place at the right time. It's a remarkably complex neurological event. Playing a simple game of catch isn't just a fun way to connect. It's a high-intensity workout for their executive functions. Each throw and catch forces them to focus, plan, and adjust, all in the blink of an eye. This is far more cognitively demanding than simply running in a straight line. You can make this a part of your daily routine. Spend 5 minutes tossing a softball or a beanbag back and forth in the living room. Practice kicking a soccer ball toward a target in the backyard. Even simple activities like passing a balloon back and forth without letting it touch the ground are fantastic. These games teach timing, hand-eye coordination, and focus. The study found that motor skills that require this level of goal-oriented control and inhibition are more likely to support cognitive development than simple aerobic exercise alone. You're not just playing ball, you're building a more focused, strategic brain. This idea of challenging the brain through physical problem-solving also applies to how we approach a type of play that often makes parents nervous. Shift 5. Encourage supervised, risky play. The term risky play might set off alarm bells, but it's one of the most powerful tools for cognitive development identified by the researchers. This doesn't mean letting your child do something truly dangerous. It refers to challenging free play, where children test their own limits in a supervised environment. This could be climbing a little higher on the play structure, balancing on a fallen log, or jumping from a low step. When a child engages in these activities, their brain enters a state of high alert. They are intensely focused, assessing risk, planning their next move, and solving physical problems in real time. This is a top-tier executive function workout. Our instinct is often to shout, "Be careful!" from a distance. This can interrupt their focus and make them feel anxious. A more effective approach is to get closer, spot them, and act as a safety net. Instead of projecting fear, project confidence. You can say things like, "Wow, look how you're using your strong arms to pull yourself up." Or, "I see you're figuring out where to put your foot next." This validates their effort and keeps them in that state of deep concentration. The mental work involved in assessing risk, figuring out, "How high can I go?" or, "Is this log too wobbly?" is directly linked to better planning, concentration, and impulse control. Playgrounds are a paradise for this kind of play. Navigating a climbing frame or balancing on a low beam requires the child to constantly switch their focus and adapt their plan. Every time they successfully navigate a risky situation, they are building not only physical strength, but also mental resilience and confidence. This is precisely what the AEL program aimed to foster, using physical challenges to build smarter, more resilient brains. These big playground moments are important, but the research also shows that some of the best brain-building opportunities happen in the small, everyday moments we usually overlook. Shift 6. Use daily transitions as teaching moments. For many parents, transitions are the most frustrating part of the day. Moving from playtime to dinner, from the house to the car, or from the backyard to inside, often becomes a battle of wills. But the AEL program showed that these moments are actually golden opportunities for building self-regulation. Instead of seeing transitions as something to be rushed through, you can reframe them as quick, focused brain training games. The key is to give multi-step instructions or require your child to follow a specific movement pattern, forcing them to use their working memory and inhibit their impulsive desire to just run off. For example, instead of just saying, "Time to come inside," which often leads to a negotiation, try turning it into a game. You could say, "Okay, let's see if we can hop all the way to the door like kangaroos." Or, "The ground is hot lava. We can only get to the table by stepping on the floor tiles." This instantly shifts the dynamic from a power struggle to a fun challenge. You can also make it a memory game. To get ready for dinner, you need to do two things. First, put your blocks in the bin, and second, go to the sink to wash your hands. This simple strategy requires children to hold a plan in their mind and execute it in order. It makes them pause and think instead of acting on their first impulse. Waiting for a turn to go through a doorway or following a specific command to get into their car seat are small moments that build the same mental muscles as bigger games. The research team behind the AEL program understood this well, incorporating transitions as a key part of their intervention to build self-regulation. By gamifying these small moments, you are taking a common point of conflict and turning it into a powerful, consistent opportunity to strengthen your child's focus and memory. Beyond the games themselves, there is one more element from the research that ties everything together and amplifies the benefits. Shift 7. Prioritize social interaction during activity. One of the most profound findings from the study was that the benefits weren't just from the movement itself, but from the rich, interpersonal interactions that happen during the movement. The positive effects on language development in particular seem to stem from the back-and-forth communication between the adults and children. This means that you are the secret ingredient that makes these activities so powerful. Simply sending your child outside to play is good, but playing with them is what supercharges the cognitive and emotional benefits. Actively talking to your child during physical games reduces their stress and creates a flood of opportunities for them to learn and use new words. When you're playing, become their personal sports announcer. Narrate what's happening with rich, descriptive language. Instead of just watching them climb, say, "Wow, you are climbing so high. You're pulling with your strong arms and pushing with your powerful legs." When you're playing catch, describe the action. "Here comes the red ball. It's flying through the air. Great catch." This constant stream of language, delivered in a joyful and emotionally connected context, is incredibly potent. It gives them the vocabulary for their actions and shows them you are present and engaged. Working together as a team on a physical task is also highly effective. Building a fort, carrying a log together, or even pushing a swing are all shared experiences that strengthen your bond and build their brain. The study suggests this social connection helps lower psychological stress, which frees up mental resources for learning. When a child feels safe, connected, and seen, their brain is in the optimal state to develop new skills. The research makes it clear. When you combine mindful movement with joyful connection, you are creating the perfect conditions for your child's brain to thrive. The final piece of the puzzle involves broadening the types of movements your child experiences. Shift 8. Introduce diverse motor skills. While running and jumping are great, the research suggests that a wide variety of movements is crucial for optimal brain development. The more new physical skills a child learns, the more their brain is stimulated. Think of it as cognitive oxygenation. Learning a novel movement like tumbling, balancing, or crawling in a new way requires significant mental effort, which in turn supports the growth of executive functions like attention and memory. Your goal should be to create a rich, movement diet for your child, going beyond their favorite or easiest activities. Instead of just walking to the park, try incorporating different challenges. Can you balance on the curb for 10 steps? Can you do 5 frog jumps on the grass? Can you walk backward for a little bit? These small variations introduce novelty and force the brain to work harder. Animal walks are a fantastic way to do this at home. Challenge your child to move across the room like a bear, on hands and feet, a crab, on hands and feet belly up, or a snake, wriggling on their tummy. Each of these movements uses different muscle groups and requires a different kind of coordination and planning from the brain. Tumbling and roughhousing can also be incredibly beneficial. Safely rolling on a soft mat, doing somersaults, or wrestling with a parent provides unique physical input that is both organizing and cognitively demanding. The key is to continually and playfully introduce new physical challenges. The study's active early learning program was built on this principle of incorporating a diverse range of motor skills. By encouraging your child to jump, tumble, balance, and crawl in addition to running, you are ensuring they are getting the full spectrum of physical experiences needed to build a flexible, attentive, and powerful brain. The outdated idea that still children are better learners is a myth. Groundbreaking research now proves that mindful movement is the engine of learning. You now have 8 powerful, science-backed strategies to be your child's neuroarchitect. If this was helpful, please subscribe and share your favorite game in the comments below.